Esta noche la edición de la Señal LITE va a ser bastante diferente porque nos vamos a enfocar en algo que sí, ya hemos mostrado en el canal, pero como siempre se renueva la audiencia y hay mucha gente que no sabe que entrevistamos en persona a Travis Walton, hoy vamos a repasar esa entrevista. Sí, en el contexto del cuarto Congreso de Ufología de Victoria, Entre Ríos, estuvimos con Travis Walton y lo entrevistamos mano a mano. Él es el protagonista de un famosísimo caso de abducción que quedó reflejado en una película que incluso quizás sea más famosa, Fuego en el Cielo. Pero la historia real de Travis Walton de su abducción es bastante diferente a lo que sale en el cine. Así que esta noche nos vamos a enfocar en eso, como adelanto también del video especial que estoy preparando sobre el caso de Travis Walton, en el que no solamente voy a doblar al español su testimonio, sino también el de algunos de sus compañeros que hemos entrevistado. Como sea, comenzamos con la Señal LITE y la abducción de Travis Walton. Según cuenta la historia original, Travis Walton desapareció en el Parque Nacional de Seagraves, cerca de Snowflake, Arizona. Era el 5 de noviembre de 1975 y recién lo encontraron 5 días y 6 horas más tarde. Por aquellos tiempos, Travis Walton tenía 22 años y trabajaba con un equipo que talaba árboles dentro del Parque Nacional Seagraves. Según la historia, toda la cuadrilla de trabajo regresaba aquella noche de trabajar cuando se encontraron con una intensa luminosidad que ellos pensaron que era un incendio. Pero al acercarse, vieron algo que parecía un platillo flotando sobre la tierra a unos 30 metros de altura. Mientras este objeto emitía un sonido bastante agudo, Travis Walton salió de la camioneta y se acercó. De repente aparece un rayo de luz en la panza de la nave y golpea a Walton de lleno, que cae a tierra. Sus compañeros de trabajo se espantaron y salieron corriendo de allí. Cuando regresaron a buscarlo, ya no estaba. Y a partir de allí comienza esta historia acerca de la cual le voy a preguntar. Él apenas recuerda unos minutos de aquel encuentro, de aquel evento de 5 días y 6 horas, y mis preguntas están enfocadas allí.
You know, we've been speaking before the interview, and you told me that most of the journalists are very interested on fear and the dark side of the experience you had. So we're going to try to do something different here, not forgetting what you lived, but trying to rescue the message behind your experience, which is kind of different from the film, right?
Yeah.
The film focuses on fear and pain and unsettled feelings. But there is a lot more, and there is something very important for you to know. It is that Travis Walton believes and thinks that whatever was on that ship really wanted to save your life.
That's true.
Let's focus on that. Why do you feel that way? Because going through your story, we all know you get hit by a ray of light.
Beam of light.
It could be a ray, it could be a beam.
A weapon.
A weapon.
That was my first impression. But I'm grateful for the opportunity to correct any the misunderstanding that I had myself at the time. Taking it, accepting the term abduction. That I was being forcibly taken, but my understanding took a number of years. But I do think that my injuries were accidental. That the blast of energy was as an accident, and it just made it necessary to take an unplanned.
Medical procedure.
Yeah.
An unplanned medical procedure to save your life.
Yeah.
Maybe.
The nearest hospital was over an hour away, and it was certainly very powerful. definitely caused at least injury, perhaps fatal, but something far beyond the ability of the crew to deal with. Medically, none of those guys knew CPR.
That's kind of hard to think because you were right in the middle of the wood.
Yes.
So there was no other possibility to get out of there alive. And you think the people on this craft saw you being hidden, or you being hit by the craft, some weapon at the craft, and then they thought, well, we need to do something with this guy. We cannot let him die here.
Yes. It was years later that I learned that that area has the second highest frequency of lightning strikes of anywhere in the United States. It's because of the elevation and the way the storms move up across the mountain, and when the air is forced to move up high like that, drops their moisture and generates these electrical storms. And so my theory, and this of course is just my opinion, is that the craft generated a sort of a magnetic field just as a side effect of its propulsion, which may have triggered a discharge of this lightning that became a secondary discharge that hit me accidentally.
I see. And that's the reason, maybe, but that's what you think. It's the reason.
And there's some the medical test I had afterwards sort of support that.
Okay.
Theory.
I remember you talked yesterday about some neurological tests.
Yes.
And I'm gonna go there in a few minutes. But now we are inside the ship, and what you remember is not everything. For what I've heard yesterday too. So your interaction with these beings, it's quite interesting because you were feeling not so good. They were doing something you didn't understand, and you tried to make them go away. And then they sent you a person.
Yes.
He looked like a human being.
Yeah.
But he also had a helmet.
Yeah.
So that what tells you that
well, the helmet could
thing.
Suggest one of two things. Either the atmosphere inside the craft was not appropriate for humans, or at least that kind of human, or that they anticipated me continuing to be combative out of fear.
You were really upset.
Yeah,
right?
Fighting them because I felt pain, and I felt there was a feeling in my body of being mortally wounded, seriously hurt.
Why do you think they sent someone looking like a human being?
Just because it was someone that I would likely not be so prone to resist or fight.
Do you think today they were alien beings, extraterrestrial beings?
Yes, I think that now. My initial impression was that this was just some Earth agency like Air Force or something that was there to rescue me from these beings. But now I think they probably enlisted the help of a species that is similar to humans, or it's possible other people have the theory that they created something, some sort of an android or a robot, artificial intelligence, just to have something that I would cooperate with.
Did you ever see any symbols or signs on the suits?
Rank and no insignia of
No insignia, nothing.
Of any military affiliation. The only thing that suggests military was that the three human-looking beings were dressed the same. That's kind of a uniform, but there was no like stars and stripes or rank or any indicators of a military connection.
Well, so let's put all this pain behind. Let's go to the moment you left the ship. What do you remember about that? How did you manage to get out of the ship?
My most recent memory was the fear and desperation of trying to find a way out. And so there was quite a bit of relief to be in more familiar surroundings, fresh air, cool outdoors, something I was an outdoorsman, you know, I worked in the outdoors, so to suddenly feel outside of the craft that way gave me the feeling of having escaped to a very high degree, even though it was dark, you know, it was nighttime, but I still felt a great deal of relief. And
do you remember how did you get back to the woods?
I woke up lying on the road. It was a place that I recognized. So I saw the lights of the town down below and just ran down in to call my family. And again, you know, the predominant emotion was the panic that I had just most recently been thinking of.
Did you ever share a word with your captors, with those beings? Do you remember something like that?
I do believe that there was other sorts of interaction, and the memories were hypnotically blocked. I can't recall them. Little glimmers came through in the form of dreams, and I know what a dream is, but they were kind of like recovered memories. When I first asked Tracy Torme, the screenwriter on the movie Fire in the Sky, what he thought about these images, I said, do you think they're just dreams, or do you think some of these memories might be returning? He goes, oh, they're probably just dreams because you're doing all these interviews now. And then 20 years later, I asked him the same question. He goes, oh no, those were probably memories leaking back through. I guess he'd studied the phenomena a lot more about the blocked memories, and I guess that's kind of common that people can experience things and then, you know, have these.
Well, there's a mechanism of blocking some memories because of the fear. That's well known. And then
it's a psychological phenomenon.
That's a psychological.
But you know, the ability for an advanced technology to install a mental block in order to hide something from you, to keep it private from you, or to maybe to protect you from the fear of that memory or whatever. I do believe it's possible, and in my case, I think probably the entire experience was 5 days and 6 hours.
5 days and 6 hours, and you remember maybe
less than an hour, certainly.
Less than 1 hour. So there was a lot of things going on you can't recall.
Yeah, there's other things, I think, and they have a purpose. I do believe there's a familial interest or interaction there, but I think it's far more common than anybody imagines. I think that sightings or opportunities for sightings are far more common.
De esta manera, Travis Walton nos quita unas cuantas dudas respecto al evento vivido aquella noche. Las preguntas de esta entrevista estaban enfocadas en aclarar algunos eventos específicos. Ahora, si querés conocer el caso completo de Travis Walton contado por él mismo, tengo otro video que te dejo aquí debajo para que vayas a ver después de este. Lo que poca gente sabe y que descubrí en esta misma entrevista es que Travis Walton ha tenido otros encuentros, sobre todo uno que lo marcó bastante en la infancia, fíjate.
You told me also that you had some experiences on your childhood, right?
Yeah. I can't prove that, but
No, absolutely.
it's certainly something that I'm certain happened. And to me, it shows that they have an ongoing interest. Why, I couldn't guess. And who could fathom the purposes and intentions of a technology and intellect that's so far in advance of us?
Absolutely, absolutely. What did you see when you were a child? What was it? Was a being? Was a craft?
I saw a small being.
Yes.
It fit the description of the beings that Betty Hill encountered. Small, hairless, large eyes, black eyes, wearing a black suit.
The feeling was the same? Maybe comparing with your main experience?
Well, the features seemed the same, but they were dressed differently.
No, I mean your feelings. You were scared when you
I was
saw
terrified
that?
at the time.
Oh.
You don't dream that you're asleep, but I was asleep.
Yes.
And I woke up because I felt my legs being lifted. So you don't dream that you woke up. That's not a dream. That's and I woke up and he was dragging me down the hallway on my bedroll, and I cried out and pointed, and he dropped my feet and took off running. Well, I immediately jumped up and ran after him, or it, and
Yes.
He was much faster and disappeared.
Almost like a child also.
Yeah.
Estoy seguro que esta parte de la historia de Travis Walton no la conocías. Su experiencia en la infancia habla de una historia de experimentador como lo conocemos ahora. Lo hemos hablado aquí con Gary Nolan, lo hemos hablado con Néstor Berlanda, con Juan Acevedo Peinado, con Andrea Pérez Simondini, y esta relación familiar con el fenómeno se presenta en muchas oportunidades. De hecho, el mismo Travis Walton ya lo había notado cuando nos encontramos. Fíjate lo que me decía.
Was aware of the phenomenon prior to the incident, so it wasn't, but I had always heard stories about people looking up and seeing something and saying, I moved this way and then it moved that way, like it was reacting to me. And I always scoffed at that. I was kind of skeptical that these craft would even care what the person thought. You know, it's a guy, my talk the other day was saying, it would be like walking past an anthill and looking down and seeing an ant and saying, I think I'll stop and have a conversation with that ant.
Oh, hello, ant. How are you?
But I really don't feel that way anymore. I think they do have a personal interest in humans. And I do think they identify individuals.
All right. Can you tell us that experience and the reason you think they can identify individuals?
Well, our own Earth-based technology. There's a thing in the United States in Utah. They call it the Utah Data Center. It's a gigantic computer complex that is basically recording every electronic communication on the face of the Earth. I mean, it requires millions of gallons of water just to cool those computers.
Yes.
But that's comparatively primitive technology. That's human technology. If humans can do that, I'm sure the aliens are perfectly capable of identifying individuals. If you saw one when you were 8 years old and you see one again as an adult, they know it's you, and that's not any great feat. They are vastly more intelligent, more advanced than us, and they probably have other means, whether they identify individuals by brain waves or DNA or whatever. I think they know individuals, and
there's a signature they can trace.
Yes. So when I had another sighting in 2014.
Yeah.
It was, this was in the middle of Los Angeles, a city of millions, and for it to stop over the top of us and then turn and make a right angle turn right there, really, it seems highly unlikely that would be just a coincidence, that they would stop over the top of me with my history and continue on. So that alone shows me an ongoing interest in individuals. Sometimes I think people, I don't believe sightings are accidental. They're kind of reported as, gee, I happened to look up and see one, like you caught them in the act or something. It's like the aliens slap their forehead and go, dang, a human spotted me again. I guess I better be more careful next time. I think they're much more intelligent than that.
They're not traveling
I think
millions
when they
of
see
years.
us, they did it on purpose. It's intentional. They're showing us themselves in a very limited, incremental way. People say, well, how come we never get the proof? Well, because the aliens didn't want it that way, you know? And so...
Well, it happens all the time, you know.
And I do
when you're going
believe
to take a picture of a UFO, then suddenly your cell phone is dead.
Yeah.
Your camera is broken.
Yeah, and people say, well, how come the picture didn't turn out? Why? Well, the aliens are much more in control of the situation than you might imagine.
Por último, y coincidiendo con muchos de los experimentadores, Travis Walton te va a contar cuál es su objetivo respecto a dar a conocer, a difundir el fenómeno, al menos como él lo entiende.
I think fear is one of the biggest obstacles to acceptance. If people stopped seeing them as invading monsters, the potential benefits are vast. If we just could make open, acknowledged contact. The science fiction creation of something called the Prime Directive, the Non-Interference Directive, makes perfect sense. That for our own good, they would not just come in here and say, here's a bunch of technology, you know, here's a brand new box of
I don't think
matches.
that's going to happen.
Now go play, you know. They're not going to do that because that would be destructive to us.
Yes.
So
And maybe for them.
so there's nothing sinister in their secrecy. It's actually to our benefit. But my goal is to help make humanity ready. That if people are aware of this phenomenon and accepting of it in a way to where it's not going to be destructive, the sooner we get to that point, the better. You can imagine, you know, how badly we treat each other on the basis of differences we have, just human to human. You can imagine how bad we might treat them if they're walking around and looking so totally strange and different from us. The suspicion and theories and the prejudices that would develop are going to be quite extreme. And so we're making it apparent to them that we're not ready for them. So anything we can do to show that we are ready, it's not a leap of logic to, you know, think of the kinds of behaviors and social attitudes that might be necessary to get us ready for that day in the future, and it will come.
You think it will come?
Yeah, eventually we'll get there. I mean, if it takes us 50 years, I don't know, but you know, we need to get ready, and anything that we can do to be prepared for them. And it has a whole lot to do with not just accepting the reality of their existence, but also accepting of each other and the kinds of differences that we make too much of or make the wrong thing of.
Y hasta aquí llegamos por hoy, familia señalera, una emisión de la Señal LITE un poco diferente, sin un servidor en cámara, pero trayéndote material que o bien no habías visto o que es bueno recordar. El caso de Travis Walton es uno de los grandes clásicos de la ufología, discutido, polémico, pero con algo que ciertamente lo hace valer y mucho. Y eso es que el protagonista, en más de 40 años, no ha cambiado ni un ápice su historia. Si querés apoyarnos, apoyar nuestro canal, deja un buen like, suscríbete que estamos buscando los 60.000 suscriptores y compartí esto con tus amigos para que llegue cada vez más lejos. Mi nombre es Fernando Silva Hildebrand y esto fue la Señal LITE. Larga vida y prosperidad.